And we are back again. Welcome to the Dynasty After Party. As always, I am Michael Sicoli, joined by Joel Wirth and Andrew Elmquist. We have the full crew, the full trio, the magical trio, here today on this lovely Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. How we all doing today?
Good.
Doing
Glad to
good.
be here.
Yeah, listen, okay, so goods. Listen, I'm going to say the energy right now, it just on the goods felt a little bit low for an exciting show that we do have lined up today. We're talking Dynasty, obviously, that is the show, but what we've been talking about all, off season is these rookies and how we want to value them. How are we ranking them? Well, we talked about ranks last week. Be sure to check out last week's show at Club Fantasy FFL on YouTube as well as Twitter. You could find those videos up there. This week, we're going to talk about the instant impact guys because I think we often get lost of what we want them to be down the road. But realistically, if they don't make an impact in year one, that leash is a lot shorter real quick. So we're going to talk about those rookies that we're expecting to make an impact on your fantasy rosters as soon as 2023. And yeah, that's going to be a blast. But before, we hop into that, I want to give a shout out to, like I said, Club Fantasy. Be sure to follow this lovely group we're talking on right now at Club Fantasy FFL on Twitter, as well as any of us. You can follow me at Michael__Sicoli. Follow Joel at the Joel Wirth, and you can follow Andrew at Andrew Elmquist1, spelling on the wonderful YouTube video link we have here. But let's jump right in. So we, like I said, we love our deep dynasty loves. We love our 4th round guys, our 5th round guys. But realistically, we're looking at those guys who got the draft capital. We're looking for the guys that got the big names, the big draft investment. So let's start with you, Andrew. I want to hear, what name are you looking at as your instant impact guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone in the community is expecting Bijan, to pop off right away, and then also like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think most of us can agree that those are like the top 2 guys. But when just going like a little bit past kind of the top 2, at least in my mind, a guy I'm targeting in all of my drafts, if I have, the 105, 106, all the way up to 108, Jordan Addison is kind of my guy this year. Love the 1st round draft capital. I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to be an interesting offense this year. I think that we haven't seen this team without Adam Thielen in 7 years or 8 years, however long he's been at the team. And he's kind of filled that, 1 or 2 role. And obviously Jefferson's going to step into the 1 role for them. And I think, KJ Osborne could do great things, but we've kind of seen him in flashes. He's a good maybe DFS play and whatever, a good, could have like a Gabe Davis 3 touchdown, 250 week. But I think Addison could provide a lot of stability. This is Vikings offense and kind of pull some attention away from Jefferson at times when he's going to be double covered by let's call it Jair Alexander, like he was locked down last year. So yeah, like I said, Addison's kind of my guy.
I think we saw a large part about what we want, of what Kevin McConnell wants to do with this offense last year. We saw a shift from 2021 that ran three wide receiver sets 46% of the time. Last year, it jumped all the way up to 76%, inside the top 5 in the league. You're going to see KJ. You're going to see Jordan Addison. It's going to be a pass-first offense. Joel, any thoughts on Jordan Addison for year 1?
Yeah, I think it's a great call. I liked him a lot. Like I said, we joked during the draft that I thought he had to be the greatest receiver of all time to make any pick in a 1st-round pick. But yeah, I love the talent and I love the fit. I think they'll probably end up splitting Jefferson out wide a bit more, and then he can kind of take over the slot, the Cooper Kupp role in that offense. So yeah, I think there's a ton of opportunity there, and definitely after the first wave of the Bijan, Gibbs, JSN guys go, I think he deserves to go right after that first wave goes.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. He's your pick, Andrew. Go for it.
I was just going to say, I guess a question I have for you guys is, what do you think his ceiling is year 1 in terms of the end of 2023? Like, do you think he can creep into the top 15 in PPR scoring this year? Where do you think he's, where's his ceiling and maybe what's his floor?
Joel, I'll let you go first.
I'd say his ceiling is maybe, I don't know that he's going to get, I think he's a startable receiver. I think he's definitely, a startable wide receiver 3, probably somewhere in between 20 and 30.
Sure.
I don't know that he's got. I don't think he's got the size to be a Jefferson, Chase, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown kind of dynasty sought after receiver. But he's definitely a starter. He's a serious flex play at least, and floor. I think the volume is going to be there, especially in that offense. It's probably an offense that's going to have to throw the ball a lot because their defense still kind of sucks. So the volume should definitely be there. And I think being opposite JJ is somewhere you want to be. That should be a lot of opportunities. So yeah, I like him a lot.
And
high floor and a solid ceiling.
And a defense that also just sent Robert Quinn, or not Robert Quinn. Correct. Zadarius Smith. My deepest apologies to Zadarius. Pro Bowler talent to Cleveland, was just traded as of last week. And I think that's my ceiling, I would say, for Addison, around wide receiver 15. I think in years to come, we could totally see him creep into that wide receiver 1 range. We see every year teams support multiple wide receiver 1s. I just don't think it'll happen as rookie year. Who knows what the quarterback situation is next year. But wide receiver 15 ceiling, around what Joel said of that wide receiver 22 round finish. Higher weeks, lower weeks, we're going to have a little bit of that because I just think it's rookie struggles. But on the topic of rookies, and I'll say a name that won't struggle, Bijan Robinson, I know you mentioned him before. I want to quickly touch on what are we actually expecting, because he's going off the board right now, RB1 in Dynasty in most formats. He's going off the board as as a top 5 pick in redraft formats. I believe 3rd off the board in non-super flex I'm talking about. Are you willing to pay that type of investment for Bijan Robinson? Do you have him as your Dynasty RB1?
Yes, I do.
See, now that's a strong answer, Joel, and I'm gonna have to ask you to go further on that.
I think when you take that talent and you put it in that offense, I mean, you're basically looking at Derrick Henry, who can catch a lot of passes and run slot routes. So I think the upside is basically off the charts. Saquon Barkley, his rookie season, he was the consensus RB or rookie RB1, and then the next year he was basically the overall player 1. So that's certainly in play. He's as good a talent as anyone coming out of college, going back to Barkley, Adrian Peterson. The ultimate ceiling is basically LaDainian Tomlinson, and I don't think that's for anyone else. That's a ridiculous comparison. I don't think it's ridiculous for him.
I don't think so either. Any thoughts there, Andrew? Any agreement? Any pushback?
Listen, I mean, I like Bijan as much as the next guy. LT is one of the best running backs that we've had in the last 20 years. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I see him on the field. In terms of Dynasty RB, I mean, I think he's got to be one. I think I would love to see what Breece Hall is going to do after that ACL tear. Had he not torn that ACL, we might not even be having this conversation. But I think, because Breece Hall was so highly touted coming out of college, if he's able to play, week 5, week 6, and he's able to play without hesitation, I might have to have him over Bijan, just personally.
I understand that. I'm gonna be the guy that sides with Joel and said that I'm happy you have him number 1. And I don't think LT is all that out of the question. Just because, listen, it's a guy that's going to contend with 250 touches on a yearly basis, just because of how good he is as a pass catcher. And I push back as well. You saying you haven't seen him on the field? I'm not sure if you saw the social media clip of him catching the nastiest out route, arms out. And yeah, no, there were no defenders, but I don't care. It is May, and I am getting all the Bijan content I could possibly ask for, because I will not be able to afford him in most Dynasty leagues. Anyway, I want to bring up another name that I think is going to be a great impact rookie, and I think he's going to be tremendously undervalued for 2023. I think he's already undervalued in rookie drafts. That's Jaden Reed, 2nd round wide receiver out of Michigan State, going to the Green Bay Packers, Joel's Green Bay Packers. And we've talked on the show already before, and it's lovely short run time, how we expect this offense to be different. We expect this offense to be entirely different without Aaron Rodgers, with Jordan Love, building it around what Matt LaFleur wanted to do as opposed to what Aaron Rodgers wanted to do. And when you come to Jaden Reed, you see such a massive opportunity. And when it comes to rookies, that's what you need to make an instant impact. You need to be able to climb that depth chart. And Alan Lazard's gone. Randall Cobb is gone. Romeo Dubs is there, but he was a day 3 guy last year, had some impressive, stints. But listen, they spent a second round pick on Jaden Reed. They want him to be that guy. We know what the Packers have done with second round picks in the past. Green Bay is third in vacated target percentage. They are second with vacated targets inside the 10. That's 16 inside the 10 targets. And while I expect that number to just drop in general, given how Aaron Rodgers threw inside the 10 on, I don't know, every other play, it's something. Well, every play. My apologies. Let me correct myself. But the opportunity is just massive, and he has such a great chance for a talent that I perceive to be a pretty darn good one. I think Jaden Reed is going to have a very strong second half of the season with some flashes like a Jahan Dotson type of flash early on.
Fair enough. So I'm also a massive Green Bay Packers fan. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that, Andrew. Well, now I feel 2-1 outnumbered for all Green Bay counts. This is going to be interesting to watch all year. Go on.
That's right. No, I agree with you. Jaden Reed is undervalued in drafts. Joel, you'll probably agree with me in saying he's a different build of a receiver than the Packers usually go for. We like our big boys. We like Christian Watson. We like guys like that. But yeah, I think he could be sneaky good. I wasn't sure of the pick on draft night. Honestly, I was like, I would have liked us to get JSN or, Jordan Addison or something like that. But since that's not an option, I think Reed, he didn't measure like the best athletically at the combine, but I don't know. I think his ceiling is a lot higher than most the average dynasty players giving him credit for, at least.
I'll say good evening to Mr. Scampers as well in the chat. I brought it up on the screen there, but I'm going to also throw it to the other Packers resident. First year expectations for Jaden Reed.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was a top 50 draft pick. So, and that's overall. So I didn't love him as a prospect. I thought he might be a little small. Obviously he was talented, but certainly, I figured he would be kind of in that third round, late third, maybe early fourth, kind of day 3 kind of guy. So top 50 is a big investment, especially considering that, they had already taken Musgrave before that. So they had, obviously they spent premium picks on those pass catchers, and Andrew's right. They typically do like bigger guys who can block. The Christian Watsons, the Alan Lazard, those kind of guys, Greg Jennings. So it is a little bit different type of body type than they typically have. But and I think, Michael, you brought it up. This is going to be a very different offense. It's LaFleur's offense. It's Jordan Love's offense. It's not Aaron Rodgers doing whatever he wants to do. So, we kind of need to see how this is going to shake out. Whether it's going to be, maybe it could end up being really run heavy. It could end up being really pass heavy if things don't go well and they end up with a lot of garbage time. I don't think that's going to happen, but I like his opportunity very much. They needed a slot receiver, right? They don't have an alpha, and they had no slot receiver. So he basically just jumps right into that slot receiver role. They don't have Devontae Adams. They don't have a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson level receiver to dominate targets. The opportunity is definitely there, and the draft capital is there. So you can't shake your stick at that. That's everything we want.
Can't shake your stick at that. I like that one. We might have to use that more often than not. I want to also throw out that this is somebody that really carried his offense in college, especially in 2021. Obviously, dealt with some injuries this past season, but Michigan State. I believe that Jaden Reed is that exact archetype of what they want to do in this offense, and that's why, to what Andrew said before, why we're seeing a different type of receiver drafted by the Green Bay Packers. This is a 191-pound guy, under 6 foot easily, but what he does, he's still a good athlete. Ran a 4.45. I like what he can do in this offense. Like you said, slot receiver wide open. It feels like his fantasy opportunity for year one, whether it's going to be trustworthy at all, is solely going to come down to what Jordan Love is. If Jordan Love is a capable quarterback, we're going to have some nice days from Jaden Reed. If he's not, you're not going to be able to predict it. So,
Right.
Yeah, definitely that. I love that at the investment, especially if if we do touch on redraft, which we're not going to talk about on this show. He's going to go so late, and I'm going to take that week 1 flyer all day.
Real quick,
Yep.
I've been seeing him go after, like, significantly after Marvin Mims, and that's really surprising to me because
Nonsense.
Mims got lesser draft capital and has a much more crowded receiver room that he's going to have to deal with. That's one of the kind of surprises of the draft, or of the rookie draft season so far, is that Mims is going much higher than Jaden Reed, and I don't get it.
Oh, it's the Sean Payton small, fast, exciting guy. This is the weapon. This is the first skill position player that Sean Payton has handpicked from the college world. You know how he drafted Traquan Smith and how he drafted, I guess,
Marquez Callaway.
Marquez was undrafted, I think, and I love Marquez Callaway. So we're not going to have any Marquez Callaway slander on this show here. Thin ice already. I see you have wrote down our little show doc here, Andrew. Zach Charbonnet, and I think this is the biggest question. We've already talked about it somewhat, so I don't want to get in terms of pass throw, so I don't want to linger too long. We've talked about what his dynasty value is. We've talked about his talent on this show. But what can we expect from year 1 from Zach Charbonnet? We're talking about early fantasy for 2023.
I think that's the question, right? I think that's what I'm struggling with in drafts. Is because obviously they use second round capital on him, and so I just kind of, whenever I talk to people, the reactions are so mixed about what he's going to be year 1, because is Ken Walker not the guy that we thought he was, or is it they're just going to do like a Cleveland Browns approach, with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, like let's just run 2 guys. If one of them's not cooking today, let's let the other guy go, So that's kind of why I wanted to bring him up to you guys to see what you thought of him, because I'm flabbergasted. Like I could take him anywhere between 107 and 203. I don't know. Like it's a tough spot.
I will push in this direction, right? To what Joel said before about draft capital, the team spent a top 50 pick on Jaden Reed. We're now talking about Seattle, who spent a top 60 pick easily on Zach Charbonnet. They dealt with so many injuries last year that they didn't even have running backs halfway through the season. And I think that definitely weighed into this selection. But what I view it as, and while Zach Charbonnet is not a prototypical receiving back at all, I think we're going to see him on third downs. I think we're going to see him mix in on early downs. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it's going to depend on who gets the goal line carry, which should be Charbonnet. But early downs in the drive, I think it's going to be Kenneth Walker. I think this is going to be a good Seattle offense. I'm just going to plant my flag early on right now. This is going to be a dang good Seattle offense. And if we're expecting a high-scoring team, I'm going to take whichever running back goes later in drafts, and I'm going to enjoy that. I really think that's going to work out. We're talking about an offense with Tyler Lockett, with DK Metcalf, with JSN, with Kenneth Walker, with decent tight ends. And, no offense to Will Dissly, that's not a bad room for NFL purposes. Obviously, Zach Charbonnet being mixed in there, Geno Smith being equipped with a terrific offensive line. They both would be inside in this draft. They have Abe Lucas and Charles Cross on the bookends. It's a very good situation for Seattle offensively. And the defense, probably not going to be all that either. So I'm excited for what Zach Charbonnet can do, and I think I'm willing to get that type of discount. I'd have him around 9 to 30, around that 9 range, probably in my rookie range right now.
Sure.
Yeah, Pete Carroll doesn't care about your fantasy team, right? Or your dynasty team.
Right.
So I think Andrew hit it right on the head. I think this is going to look a lot like the Browns offense, where Walker just kind of takes the Chubb role and ends up being really frustrating. And Charbonnet's probably the Kareem Hunt guy who kind of ends up being, maybe not the sure guy, but the guy who ends up being the one you want to own because he's not as frustrating as the top guy ends up being. So right. I think that's kind of what we're going to run into, and neither one of them is going to be, the foundation back that we want. Charbonnet feels like the guy who's really taken the hit in rookie drafts based on the pre-draft, mock drafts that we rookie drafts that we saw. He's kind of gone from somebody in that, like you said, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, that kind of range. So I've seen him regularly fall into the early seconds. So I think that's a bit of an overreaction because I think he's going to have a role and I think he's going to have some value. And like you said, the draft capital is there, right? We can't ignore that. As much as frustrating as it may be, we can't ignore that they spent a second round pick on this guy. So he's going to be involved. So there's the certainty there that he may not have the upside that we want, but there's a certainty level with that draft capital that you want to be invested in.
And it's a guy that personally I had ranked as an RB2 pre-draft. This isn't a CH situation where we're just buying into the draft capital because draft capital. We're buying in also because we liked him as a talent. At least I did. I don't want to speak for you, gentlemen, but I had him as my RB2. I was quite a fan and was absolutely distraught. But we've talked more than enough about Charbonnet on this show in the few weeks already. So I want to bring up another name in Miami now. Andrew, what are you expecting from the speed back in Miami? And I am not talking about Raheem Mostert. I am talking about Texas A&M bell cow Devon Achane getting third-round investment to join Mike McDaniel's Dolphins. What are you expecting for year one?
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about him like a John Ross type guy before the draft. Like they were like, or the combine, excuse me. Like, is he going to break the record of 4.22? No, he didn't. He ran a 4.32.
Slow. Slow.
Still pretty quick, obviously. And I don't know. I mean, I liked what I saw from him at Texas A&M. He's not big. He's 5'8". I weigh like 30 more pounds than the guy. I would tower over him at the gym, but dude's about 7 seconds quicker than me on the 40-yard dash. But yeah, I think he's interesting. Like pairing him with a guy like Raheem Mostert, who at one point was the fastest person in the NFL. At least that's what I think I saw. And besides that, we have Jeff Wilson, Savon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin, who everyone has them as stashes on their Dynasty League, but they never turn out to anything. So I don't know. I think at least year one, I could easily see him as in that RB 20 to 24 range if he's given the opportunity. Again, don't know what that's going to look like with the shell of Raheem Mostert at 30 years old or 31 years old, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Joel, I'll let you take away because it is a very interesting topic of the Miami backfield this year and what we're honestly expecting from Miami.
Yeah, I can't be objective about Devon Achane. I've been a big fan since I liked him. I thought he was the better player when Isaiah Spiller was there, and I don't think it was particularly close. I thought he was just as good last year. I think he's really underrated. I think people look at him and they just discount him because of his size. He's a better between the tackles runner than Jahmyr Gibbs is. He's a good pass blocker, not just good pass blocker for a 5'7" guy. He's a good pass blocker. He's willing to stick his nose in there. He's smart. He knows where the blitzers are. I think he's a better player than people think. I've compared him pre-draft to a smaller Chris Johnson, and I can't get off that. When you put him in that offense, I said pre-draft, some coach is going to look at that speed and want him on their team, and that happened with Mike McDaniel. And you really can't ask for a better spot for him to go to because that's a big play offense. They've got guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle who are going to spread the field, pull. You can't go 8 men in a box against that team. That's not going to happen. So the opportunity for big plays is going to be there with Achane. Like I said, I can't be objective about the guy. I don't know how you can like Jahmyr Gibbs and not like Devon Achane. It doesn't make sense to me.
I tend to agree with that as well. I love Devon Achane, and slowly, for some reason, I was like, oh my goodness, this is the perfect landing spot. And immediately after the draft, I'm like, well, he's small. Maybe it can't work. We haven't really seen somebody carry that type of workload like he did at college and actually be able to continue that? How are we going to be able to do? I started immediately talking myself out of it, despite really like everything on film, everything analytically. He carried this. I think he could go down a little bit easy, and that on the next level. He didn't do that in college, but I think that'll happen on the next level. But it's like you said, it's the perfect fit. If it's going to work, it's going to work in Miami. So he's the type of guy that will be going in that round 7 probably type of value entering the season for redraft purposes. And I'm talking like we're talking second round, a 2024 second probably. You could have him entering September. So that type of value, So that type of value for a potential starting running back is exceptional. Now, Andrew, do you have any other thoughts on what's it also? Mr. Scampers bring up a wonderful point of taking the second wide receiver and running back from Seattle, and what a wild world we now found ourselves in. My goodness, Seattle, what a weird team. But Andrew, any other thoughts on Devon Achane? Because I have one other thing I want to bring up in the realm of Miami, but I want to hear if you had any thoughts. Because this is your guy.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think just the mere fact that he is a third rounder, I think people might continue to sleep on him moving forward. But yeah, I don't know. I like the speed. I've had the need for speed.
Speed is fun. Speed is fun. Speed equals long runs, and long runs equal fantasy points most of the time, or it just equals return yards, which barring on your format, might not actually help. But the topic I want to bring up and this is real quick because it's not an instant impact rookie, but it would certainly impact a Devon Achane. Just some dynasty news that we should be keeping on track about, and something I'm sure we're talking about in our chats, in our leagues, and certainly in our trade books. Dalvin Cook is currently being rumored as this is it for the Vikings. That is currently the talk, and the most popular spot that I've seen being thrown around is Miami. Now, I'm just curious. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but if you guys had to send Dalvin Cook to one spot for him to succeed, realistically, where would it be? It's not on the show, Doc, so I apologize for throwing this at you guys.
I'll say Dallas.
Dallas? Interesting.
Dallas is the Zeke replacement.
Are you telling me that the front office in Dallas is going to pay for another running back?
Yeah, what would his market be if he gets released? I don't think it would be that much.
Oh, I was joking about Dallas being 1,000% willing to send like a second for Dalvin Cook and his contract, just because.
I don't think he's going to get traded. I think he's going to end up getting released. I don't think he's going to trade for him. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to have much of a. I think his market's going to be really. It's kind of overstated, right? He wasn't that good last year. He just wasn't. He's got a history of injuries. I don't think he's going to be a guy that teams are knocking down the door to bring in.
I think if they were, he would already be gone. I think he would have already been traded if there was a market. Andrew, where are you sending Dalvin?
Yeah, might sound unorthodox, but the Saints.
Oh my!
See, well, here's the thing. I don't know how the whole Kamara thing is going to shake out. If he plays this year, disregard that. But if for some reason the legal stuff turns itself out and Kamara isn't able to play, I think that Cook would make actually a lot of sense in that offense. Just because, we have Derek Carr in his first year, another veteran running back to kind of keep the offense afloat. Something I've been talking about with my buddies. Again, it's probably unrealistic, but that's my
sure. Hey, listen, we're here to dream, and Scammers brings up a chaos theory of sending Dalvin Cook to San Francisco, which when it comes to the 49ers, you can never rule it out, and he would be fantastic for being a backup, but also he would get hurt. Oh my goodness, he would get hurt in San Francisco. Come on, San Francisco running back Dalvin Cook, that's not happening. But if I would throw
I would hate that for my Elijah Mitchell at 0 RB shares.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that would cripple all strategies for you, I'm sure. Not having Elijah Mitchell to help out on the roster.
Devastating.
But I'll throw out one other team I'd like to see Dalvin go to. KC. I know everyone says it, but I think that actually, listen, someone's got to pick up the Bill Belichick mantle, even when Bill's still around, of swooping up the talent to fill needs when other teams just can't pay it or something. Where something weird happens and Yes, Dalvin had a down year last year, but if he's going to succeed somewhere, why not Casey? I can't imagine that they're done with that room. I feel like they're still talking to somebody. Maybe it's Fournette, maybe it's something. But you have Isaiah Pacheco, you have Jared McKinnon. It was nice last year. It was exciting. It was young. It was not McKinnon, but it was flashy. But if Dalvin Cook is out there, that makes so much sense to me to have that bigger back complement. That Pacheco as a one-cut burner and Jared McKinnon as a getting older receiving back really would be, I think it would be a fantastic fit. And a guy that could easily have a Mark Ingram type of season, I wouldn't be surprised, of a couple of years ago on the Ravens, where he just fell in the end zone. Like he just fell in every single play and finished with like 15 touchdowns. Now, I think that'll be out there. I think it'll be out there, but they didn't.
I like it.
Let's just wrap that up. Well, I'll wrap up this strategy, this segment part that I said wouldn't be too long, and then proceeded to talk for way too long. Now, just want to quickly talk about some later round guys. It's obviously unlikely that the rookies we're talking about, they're most likely the guys that are getting that draft investment. But occasionally we have the Romeo Doubs, we have a late round running back, you have the Elijah Mitchells, you have the Isaiah Pachecos. They always pop up every year. So any of those guys going the third or fourth rounds of rookie drafts, do any of them catch your eye as instant impact names?
Tank Dell, baby.
Tank Dell. We got a Tank Dell fan in the house, do we?
I've traded up in the third round so many times in this offseason to draft Tank. Like, how often do you hear of a rookie quarterback who tells the team to draft a running back? Like, that is, or a wide receiver, excuse me. That's crazy. And I think that the fact that Texans were like, sounds good. Like, they're ready. They're ready for the Stroud Tank duo. And I'm ready for it as someone who is invested. I would say he's on 80% of my like 15 dynasty team. So
money where your mouth is.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you like, at least. Now, I will say, Houston is a very good franchise at going, good, you do what you want. You know, just I don't know what I'm picking, so I'm just going to let you pick. Tank Dell was something interesting, and I talked about it before on another show, saying how he's somebody that I felt should be higher in my rankings after the draft, and I just can't do it because I wasn't high on him pre-draft. I think he's just a little bit too small to be a real fantasy asset at wide receiver, and I'm trying not to just jump 2 feet into the narrative of CJ Stroud wanted this guy. So I'm curious, Joel, it's somewhere in the middle here. I'm a little bit more out. Andrew's obviously all in. Where are you? What side are you on here?
I think I kind of lean towards your side, is that I didn't love him as a prospect. So, but yeah, I think the opportunity is there, right? I mean, the Brandon Cooks is gone. There's really nothing else there. So if he's got the rapport with Stroud, cool. It's better than nothing, right? It's something to hang your hat on. So yeah, it certainly could work. I'm not going to rule it out. I don't think I have any shares of him yet, but maybe one or two. I wouldn't rule it out. I think people like Andrew are probably going to take it before I do.
I reject your notion that Nico Collins is a nobody. I am still on the Nico Collins train, and this train is going straight into the ocean and I'll be on it. It's not going well. It's not going to happen. But he got targeted a lot. He earned some targets in the games he played healthy. So, to me, yeah, I'm a Bryan Edwards fan too. But I'm going to stop talking about that. Joel, do you have any day 3 type of deep shots that you're trying to get on your fantasy rosters?
Yeah, the guy I'm ending up a lot with in like the 4th round of drafts is Eric Gray, who, you know, a lot of people liked as a prospect. He was kind of, one of those deep guys that people were in on. I think backing up Saquon Barkley is a really kind of a plum gig, right? Because Matt Breida is nothing you can't fall out of bed and beat out at camp. So I think he's got a real opportunity. Barkley's never been able to stay healthy. Even last year he was kind of nicked up quite a bit, and he takes he gets a lot of volume, so he gets a lot of pounding. So I think it's kind of a plump spot for him. I'm getting him a lot, and I'm not upset about that.
I liked Eric Gray as well, and I think when you look at Saquon Barkley as well, right now he's not in camp because he's currently sitting out for a new contract. Who knows what happens with that? Maybe he plays the year on the tag and he's gone next year. And it's like you said, it's a wide open backfield. So I think it's very possible that we have some good spot starts from Eric Gray. Probably won't happen without injury or sitting out, but he's going dead. He's going dead last. Can easily be a very valuable handcuff. So
yeah, I mean he's going in the 4th round regularly, so there's zero investment there.
It is too late for that. Any thoughts on Eric Gray?
No, I think you guys covered. I mean, he's kind of one of those guys. I think I'm not going to say he reminds me of Isaiah Pacheco's game necessarily, but I think he could have a Pacheco like rise like in the Giants offense if something happens to Saquon. I did want to point out Scampers just had a comment that
I was going to bring it up. Don't you think I wasn't going to bring that one up? Scampers with an amazing stat bomb.
Just little Tutu, man. I was hopeful for Tutu, but hopefully Tank works out for my sake.
I don't want to say I was rooting against Tutu Atwell, but it was such a ridiculous pick that I was kind of rooting against Tutu Atwell. But that's rude. I hope the best for the man. The only person I was actually rooting against was Velus Jones last year because Bears Twitter came after me for calling him an old man. But that's neither here nor there. I want to stay on the topic of the Rams because my deep shot, my lovely guy that I have in, I'm pretty sure 100% of Dynasty leagues right now, Puka Nacua. Puka is the guy. We're talking about the Rams here.
Oh, so you're the guy.
Number 17. He's wearing number 17, people. That's a good start. That's that Robert Woods role. Now, that'll be some pretty lazy analysis, but I do think he's somebody that has an amazing opportunity in a offense that is truly wide open. Van Jefferson has not shown that he's able to take that step as a wide receiver 2. Allen Robinson is dust and out of town, so he got swept literally out of town. And that's it. We talked about Tutu Atwell. We talked about that Cooper Kupp's there. Cooper Kupp will get 150 targets if he's healthy. There's still room for another option in a Sean McVay team that has continually supported 2 guys. Tyler Higbee's not that good. I don't care what anybody tries to make Tyler Higbee into every single year. He's just not a good player, and especially not a good fantasy player. I'll add that in there. And I just like what Puka Nacua brings to the team. He's such a good yards after catch guy. He's an athletic player. He's somebody that was productive. It just wasn't exactly on the highest scale. So I think there's a lot of potential for this guy to rise through the ranks and make a late season push from that week 10 on, all of a sudden be that guy that has a flex week, maybe only ends up with 6 points the next, and then he could have 10, then 10, and then 15. I could see a strong end to the year for Puka Nacua. I don't think Matt Stafford is complete dust yet, which would that's probably the hottest part of my take that I just gave. But curious on any thoughts if I have any other Puka Nacua lovers out there.
I think you hit it on the head, and that Van Jefferson has been given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity and done nothing with it. So I think it's basically time to move on from him. As much as some of us liked him as a prospect, it's time to give up that ghost. And you're right. There's really nothing there outside of Cooper Kupp. Allen Robinson did nothing last year, and he's gone. So yeah, definitely opportunity there. And he was a guy that some people liked a lot as a prospect. He had a good Senior Bowl, right? I think so.
The Senior Bowl put him on the map.
So yeah, maybe he can take the Christian Watson path, and blow up the Senior Bowl, and go to a spot that needs some help.
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take Christian Watson. Okay, so we heard it here. Wide receiver 1 talent over the last.
Whoa.
That's been said. Andrew, any thoughts on Puka Nacua? As Scampers correct me in the chat, and I thank you for it because I hate mispronouncing names. I do it a little too often.
Yeah, no, I think Puka's an interesting. I think it's more of an interesting landing spot than anything I thought about his pre-draft profile, just because, like you guys were talking about. First of all, who else is there? Second of all, I totally agree. I think Stafford, everyone's like, oh, he was going to retire last year because he had the injury. No, okay, that's stupid. He wasn't going to retire. He's fine. Well, hopefully, we don't know yet. But assuming that Stafford is like 70% of himself, I think he's going to support at least 2 decent receivers in this offense, and obviously Kupp's going to be one of them. And who knows? I mean, even if, like you said, even if Puka can start getting 8 to 12 points towards the end of the year, could be enough confidence in the team to move on from Van Jefferson for next year and have Puka do well moving forward, I guess.
The Rams are heading into a reset real soon. And that reset will not be featuring Cooper Kupp, and it will not be featuring Matt Stafford. And it would be featuring a young guy like Puka if all things go right for him. It takes a lot for a day 3 guy to stay relevant past a year, if any. But that opportunity is there to make that instant impact, like we're talking about, because that's what matters most about these guys is they have to have a route to time. Otherwise, they're very easily replaced the next year. Yes. So let's talk about our second bit, the thing we talk about every single week, and we like doing it. Our Do Better trade segment of the week, where we talk about trades that we tend to say do better on, but honestly, what we're doing right now, I'm kind of viewing this as a sticker, Joel and Andrew. I'm viewing this as a sticker of, do we put the do better sticker on trades, or do we kind of just like it? And either way, what side are we going on? And again, I stress it every week. Drop comments in the chat. Feel free to add us on Twitter with your Dynasty trades, and we would be happy to help you out. Because listen, we're not talking to the void here. We're talking to you guys, and we want to talk to you until we help you guys out. So we got a mouthful one to start off here. Superflex. There's a small font on this double layer. We have Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, the 301, and a 2024 third in exchange for Jared Goff, Mark Andrews, Christian Watson, the 104, a 2024 first, 2024 second, a 2025 second, and a 2024 first. So we're talking 2 firsts in 2024, the 104, Christian Watson, Jared Goff, Mark Andrews, or Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, pretty much. Plus another second in there. We have quite the monglomouth of a trade here. Any thoughts on this? Is the price to get Patrick Mahomes in the real world. Or not real world, the fantasy world.
Yeah, so Mahomes Kelce is kind of like the holy grail, right? Of Superflex.
It's a stack.
Yeah, this is the stack of all stacks. This is a big price, right? But that's what you're going to have to pay. I mean, if you look at it, Andrews and Kelsey's trade values is kind of similar. I think people are still overly afraid of Travis Kelce's age. I wrote an article a few weeks ago about, that we probably shouldn't. We're kind of overreacting to it based on his historical comps. But yeah, you can kind of even cross those two out. So you're talking Mahomes for Goff, Watson, 104, 2 more firsts and 24.
And a couple of seconds down the line.
And a couple seconds. Yeah, I mean, that's the price you got to pay. And that's I'll just say I can't imagine giving up a Mahomes Kelce stack. I just can't. I try to have no sacred cows, but I don't know that I can move out that stack. So, but yeah, if you were going to tempt me, this is a package that would definitely tempt me because you're getting Goff, you're getting another elite quarterback at the 104. You're getting Christian Watson, who's is valued at kind of a late first in the mid to late first in the in this draft, and then two firsts in a kind of loaded class next year. So that's the price you got to pay if you want that stack.
As Scamper says, all righty then, and it certainly is. Andrews, any thoughts on the deal here?
I got to be honest. I am on the Goff and Andrews side of this, and here's why. I think that number one, Andrews is 5 years younger than Kelce.
At
4 years?
Yeah, I'd say
5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right there, obviously, Kelsey's probably going to be in the league for at least two more solid years, hopefully more. But when I look at this, I mean, I could get Caleb Williams in this deal, which ultimately, I mean, obviously he's not going to be better than Mahomes, but I think he could.
Could he though?
Well, I think, he's like a similar quarterback prospect to Andrew Luck, like that level of high toutedness, I suppose. And so if I'm getting 2 cracks at that in 24 draft and 104, Christian Watson. When this trade came out, I was a little bit shocked at first, but when I settled down from the initial sticker shock and like actually giving up Mahomes and Kelsey, I would do this 100% of the time. But that's just me. Again, I love Caleb Williams, maybe more than anyone out there. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, what do you think?
That is, I'm gonna. You guys are each on one side, and I'm gonna grab my ladder, sit up on the fence, and play devil's advocate of both of you guys. It's a perfect trade for each side, depending on where your team is at. If you are contending and you just got Mahomes and Travis Kelce for, listen, Mark Andrews is probably going to be really good, but he had a really up and down year last year. And if you're going to get a weekly the tight end one every single week and weekly the quarterback one every single week, that could win you a title, and that's worth any price. So if you're in a rebuild, this is a fantastic haul, in my opinion. You got Kelce off the books, which, listen, I agree with Joel. I think the Dynasty community has swung too far on the Travis Kelce trade value, but this is you got out on an older guy. If you're a rebuilder, you lose Patrick Mahomes, but you gain, like you said, Andrew, because I'm playing devil's advocate, I'm throwing all the darts at the board. You get 2 cracks in the very talented class, plus another second down the road, and a young asset in Christian Watson. Jared Goff will find a starting job next year as well, barring a complete flop of a season this year. And even then, Mitch Trubisky found a job. So for a short time, at least. So I'm gonna sit on the fence and say if you're a contender, if you're a contender and you're getting Kelce and Mahomes, I like it. In a vacuum, in a pure value sense, because I will pick a side. I think it's too scared. I can't not pick a side. I'll take the picks. I'll take everything. I want everything. I want the excitement of the unknown and the flexibility of what I can do with all those type of things. Plus Christian Watson and Mark Andrews.
The only pushback I would give on that is you said, if you're not a contender, if you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, you're a contender.
In most situations.
You could have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and a bunch of waiver guys, and you're a contender. So there's no way
I
you're not.
disagree with that. In Superflex, though, like if you don't have a QB2, you're losing 20 to 25 points.
But if you had Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, and Zeke, you've been riding that duo for 3 years now, and all of a sudden each of them hit the freaking wall, and you did not prepare properly.
Patience, you'll find something.
Look, the emotion of giving up Patrick Mahomes, let alone Travis Kelce, is I couldn't imagine. Anytime somebody's ever come up to me with Patrick Mahomes in the Superflex League, I don't even start the conversation. So another trade down here: Lamar Jackson, Greg Dulcich, and 2024 second for Jalen Hurts. This is from Johnny Deep on Twitter, who DMs me every so often. Again, like I said, you guys can always reach out to any of us with your dynasty trades, and we'd be happy to talk about it. He wasn't sure. I had a strong opinion on this, or not a strong opinion. I had a confident opinion. I am taking Jalen Hurts for this all day, any day, every day of the week. So I'm curious if you guys have any alternate opinions. Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts coming off their mega contracts themselves. Let's call it tight end premium as well.
Nope, I don't. This would be Hurts all day for me. I don't think Dulcich and the second don't move the needle nearly enough to kick out from Lamar to Hurts.
Yeah, I like Dulcich. I mean, it's a great player, but yeah, I think he's just definitely a throw-in in this deal. So essentially, it's like, do you think Lamar or Jalen's better long term? And Jalen is, dude. If you can squat 600 pounds routinely and push through the line all the time on 4th down, number one, I just love watching that brand of football. But number two, I want that guy on my dynasty team.
Yeah, see, I don't like watching that brand of football because I watched it last year in Week 8, Steelers v. Eagles. I was at that game in Philadelphia, and it did not go well. I saw Gardner Minshew end up playing a quarter because of how badly the Steelers were slapped around like, I don't know, a boxer. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it. But
Nailed it.
Yeah, exactly. Slapped around like a boxer and then end on a high note. So we're all going to confidently take the Jalen Hurts side on that. I know he was trying to offer that for Jalen Hurts and wasn't sure about it. So glad we're all on the same page. Another one here. Michael Pittman, Jahmyr Gibbs, a 2024 second and a 2024 first for Justin Jefferson. We're talking about the top tier guys here. I love these types of trades because nobody talks about what the price to get Patrick Mahomes or Justin Jefferson because they just view it as impossible. Here's a payment. Here's a payment for Justin Jefferson. There was a payment for Patrick Mahomes. What side would you take for this one? Joel, let's start with you.
It's super flex or one QB. I think this is pretty easily Justin Jefferson. I don't see enough. You want those impact guys, unless you're spreading out to like a start 11, start 12 or something like that. I think this is pretty clearly Justin Jefferson. This is basically, Jahmyr Gibbs is a mid first rounder in a super flex plus a random 2024 first, and Pittman's barely. Could you have gotten a 23 first for Michael Pittman before the draft? I don't think so. So yeah, I don't think that's enough for Jefferson. And I honestly, I don't think it's particularly close.
I don't think so either. And I will say I'm a Pittman guy. I would have paid that pre-draft. And listen, I like Anthony Richardson, but we are facing an uphill climb for fantasy relevance for his weapons around him. And I personally am going to be pretty hands off all Colts pass catchers that maybe I'll take a flyer on the tight end, and because I love him so much, maybe I'll take Josh Downs late in my drafts, and it's certainly in Dynasty. But yeah, I agree. This is Justin Jefferson, not that close to me. Andrew, any concurring thoughts? Any differing thoughts?
No, I concur.
We concur.
In a one quarterback dynasty league, Jefferson's my 101, and I think that fact alone says that this is that trade again. Love Caleb Williams, and the chance of getting him with a 24 first is awesome. But you know what you know with Justin Jefferson. Gibbs is an unknown. The picks are an unknown. Pittman's future, unknown. We know that Jefferson is that guy. I'm taking him all day long.
If I tell you this is a top 4 pick guaranteed in 2024 for both of those, first and second, does that change your opinion?
No.
No.
Okay.
It makes you think for a second, but no, it's still Jefferson.
Bad idea. Yeah, because there are picks like that where we see those teams where like, listen, we know this guy is not going to have a good year, and we know he doesn't know quite where we know more, and then all of a sudden the season comes around and we're in last place. But one more trade I want to throw out here for our lovely listeners. So this one from the legendary Matthew Betts on Twitter, and I want to bring it up because I like it quite a bit, and I will say, I'm going to get a sticker for this show at some point. Let's slap that do better sticker for whoever gave up Justin Jefferson on that side. JSN, the 106, which turned into JSN, plus Jerry Jeudy for AJ Brown. Matthew Best posted this on Twitter, and I am curious on your takes for this because I feel like this is a very polarizing trade for everybody because of how polarizing Jerry Jeudy is in general.
I will say this trade makes me nervous. If I have JSN, I think right now I'm holding him just because of what I think he can do in Seattle with the potential with Lockett on the move maybe after this year. But also AJ Brown is a freak. Like, he is an athletic specimen, and it's also tough for me. And like I was talking about Justin Jefferson, he's a known entity, and he's going to be tied to Jalen Hurts for the foreseeable future. So it is a toss-up. Gun to my head, I think I have to go JSN Jeudy. I'm not honestly a huge Jeudy guy, but I'm going that side.
I'm not a huge Jeudy guy. Taking the Jeudy side here, which means you must be a tremendous JSN fan. And understandably so, am I. Interesting. Joel, I'm curious what side you're leaning on here.
I'm also a big JSN fan, and I seriously wanted him to go to Green Bay, but I would pay this all day for AJ Brown. if I could get AJ Brown for Judy and JSN, I would offer that. And I would probably be afraid to offer that. I'd probably end up offering like an extra third or something like that as a kicker. But yeah, I would take the AJ Brown side of this.
And I'm somewhere in the middle of, I will tentatively take the AJ Brown for a side for this. I love Jerry Judy. I do. I've always have. And I love JSN. But I admit that there is considerable risk for Jerry Judy entering this situation of, we don't know if he's even a Bronco next year or even this year because of how many trade talks we're talking about, the uncertainty. We have a new regime that did not draft him. JSN is great, but so is AJ Brown. So I almost view that as a bit of a wash, and I have my wild card spinner. So I'm going to take the guy that's already established, and I don't have to wait for it. So I will take AJ Brown, but I do quite love Jerry Judy. And we do have a lovely trade being thrown out in the chat that we'll touch on real quick from Mr. Scampers. And again, like I said, we're here to help you guys out. So if you guys got questions or trades you want to throw out, feel free to. We'll get to it tonight or we'll get to it on next week's show. 12-team Superflex League, Joe Mixon, Tyler Lockett, Zach Ertz, and a second, he mentions in another comment, for JSN. What side would you prefer here? For me, it's pretty confidently JSN.
100%.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay. Well, then we concur together. Maybe we work something. I love that word too much. I'm gonna have to work that out of my vocab because I'll say it too often. Anyway, that is our show this week. I thank all of you guys for tuning in. It's been a blast for this Instant Impact show, the Instant Impact Rookies. And you can follow myself at Michael__Sicoli on Twitter. You can follow Joel at the Joel Wirth on Twitter, as well as at Andrew here at Andrew Elmquist 1. And of course, Club Fantasy FFL. That's where you're watching right now. So you might as well follow at Club Fantasy FFL. Any final thoughts? Any send-off messages for you guys?
No, glad to be back. I want to thank Ryan for filling in last week. I had an early morning flight, so I've been up since 3 a.m., so a little tired. But yeah, glad to be back. And thanks for Ryan for filling in, and to you as well, Michael. Glad to have Andrew. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you guys again next week.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here for the first time as well. Life's kind of been crazy for me, but should be a staple moving forward. I myself drove from Minnesota to Kansas City today, so I'm also pretty tired. I did have some Kansas City barbecue before this, though, so I'm feeling very nice.
I sat in the sun in the same place for 3 hours. That's all I did. But listen, we're talking about crazy life stuff. The one thing that's not crazy, this show has a structure. All right, we'll be back next Sunday, 9:30 Eastern, right here. So be sure to subscribe. And remember, Dynasty, it's like a disco ball at your after party. Keeps on spinning year round. So we're going to keep on with